You don't hustle tire. You know they take you holiday. You write application, you go for auditions, but still, it be like saying no they pay. They don't laugh you tired. Some say, share until your mate get the aeroplane. Before you go make calm, you beg God to make calm, but see, everybody getting late. So my brother hustle, so my sister work. No condition lasts forever, your own turn become. So my brother hustle, so my sister work. Beans you know they cook forever, your own beans go down. If you see person make a more rejoice with them. If they ask you what's your no, take no offense. See this life better, know your time they come, because no be only you kill Jesus. We plenty for there.
Okay, so beans not they cook forever, and of course the matter where we talk so be as it may, no condition is permanent. Whatever you're passing through in life, whatever you're going through in life, don't forget is the state of the nation. Of course, the first edition of the State of the Nation, Awalo 3.5 Unico Radio International. My name is Obase Oit Thompson. Time check is 2 o'clock on the DLT. Okay, so this beautiful afternoon, it is that time of the day. Don't forget. I think I love this track so much. Coming from We Plenty from Cobams and Sukwa and Simi. Okay, so right away this beautiful afternoon, it is that time of the show where we bring to you, of course, educative, informative, and entertaining conversation that has to do with politics, leadership, and governance. Okay, so don't forget we do this every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from the hours of 2 p.m. on 103.5 Unico Radio International. I won't be doing this alone. Of course, I would never have to do this all alone, because you are there, I am here, and we are all here this beautiful afternoon. Don't forget that we're going to give you a whole lot of headlines today, and then when it is time, trust me, we're going to take you through. The phone lines will be open, so you'll also be part of this conversation. And of course, saying happy new month to you guys. And then how are you feeling today? I trust you're doing exceptionally great. Yeah, for those of you who are coming back from school this beautiful afternoon, how are you? How are you enjoying the weather? What's going on in your area? I just get to talk to us this beautiful afternoon. Okay, so what's happening in your departments, in your faculty, in the student union government, in what is happening? Get to talk to us. Did you actually pay for what you're not supposed to pay? Did you actually, do something that you're not supposed to do? Did they charge you for that? And what is it exactly? Okay, so right away this beautiful afternoon, don't forget that, we have a whole lot of headlines for you today, but I'm just going to do something quite a bit different. Okay, so I'll first take you through the newspaper, front pages that we have for you. And then definitely we're going to concentrate in some of the headlines, that we're definitely going to be talking about this beautiful afternoon. And here we are as a people, as a nation, and definitely, Nigeria as citizens of this great country. Okay, so we start with the Nation newspaper this morning. Okay, I said this morning. This weather, this afternoon. I just gonna get used to it. Don't worry. Okay, so first from the Nation newspaper this morning, we have these bigger stories like Akpabio, Barrow, Abdurazik, Uzodimma, Yero on APC list. A lot of persons are actually surprised. What exactly is happening? Okay, so anti-migration rallies shut businesses in South African cities. Okay, so this is going to be one of our big stories for today. I'm talking about, the issues of xenophobic attacks in South Africa. What is going on? And they have started attacking their own people as well. Same South Africa, they're attacking other South Africans, in South African land. It's so sad, it's so pathetic. Okay, so this beautiful afternoon, we're talking about our federal federal government plans scrap of GSS and SSS programs. Talking about junior secondary school and senior secondary school programs. So the federal government are actually planning to scrap them out. Okay, so whatever it is, just go read that in details on page 6 of the Nation newspaper. Don't forget that UK asylum seekers to pay about 10,000 euro. Now, before consideration, Lagos gets about NRC license to run train services. Okay, so read all of this from the Nation newspaper. But there's one of these stories that really gets me, talking about the Nation newspaper, and that has to do with anti-immigration rallies in South Africa. And this that is coming from NDC Oblut, Obi, and Dixon, others names on INEC portal. Okay, so don't forget that over the weekend there have been a lot of ups and downs. A lot of persons talking about INEC denying NDC the right codes to be able to upload names, and then a lot of persons say no, this can never happen. What happened? And so but all of a sudden INEC have actually said, okay, fine, we're going to give you guys your access code. Just go ahead, upload your name, despite the court recent ups and downs from Lokoja. Okay, so that's one of the stories we're going to be looking at, especially the response from Peter Obi. I'm sure this is actually coming out in some of the other newspapers that we have for you. Don't forget the Daily Trust newspaper with the biggest stories, questions over Phantom Council. Okay, we also have a Niger Varsity students block VC and protest robbery attacks. Now, we're going to talk about that on today's show, talking about the state of the nation. We're going to have these short stories, where military invaded one of the universities in Nigeria. And so the VC have come out to say, look, a lot of these things have happened, and this is our take on that particular issue, but students should remain calm. Okay, so that the institution and the federal government are going to work out issues, including the state, to ensure that those officers are actually apprehended. But I ask a question. Are you sure those guys were really really officers? Yeah, don't forget that in Sokoto we have about 23 residents were actually involved in road crash. Oh my goodness, yeah, that's really sad. Talking about Sokoto, a resident and KB youth died in road crashes. Okay, so yeah, from the Punch newspaper, still talking about a xenophobic attack in South Africa. But here we have another big stories here where Wabara BLT seeks INEC recognition for Turaki's PDP. Now, this is going to be a very big blow for PDP, talking about the People's Democratic Party. Okay, so this is really going to be a very big deal, a very big deal. So some are saying, hey, so who is the presidential candidate for the People's Democratic Party, and under which faction are they going to run? Okay, so Borno adoption, we have parents list about 36 missing children as youth protest. Yeah, so a lot of children are still missing from Borno. Yeah, talking about that. Now, a lot of parents have come out to say, look, we are tired. Our children are nowhere to be found, and this is not really going on well with us. Okay, so Nigerians in South Africa, ex-convoys push for diplomatic dialogue. Okay, so we're going to be talking about all of these from the, when we start up the show. Don't forget that our phone lines are open, so you also be part of this conversation when it's time. Don't worry. I'm going to turn on the phone lines. Okay, so the Guardian newspaper is up next with the biggest stories where they say coastal states wary as floods disrupt Lagos economy amid disease, fears. Okay, so other big stories where we have ASU chapter. My people. All right, ASU have come out to say, hey guys, look, we are not done yet with the federal government. So all of you that say, hey, federal government have come, right from this administration, we not had this, we not had. ASU has said, look, we are threatening you people. Okay, so ASU have come out to say, look, they are actually threatening strike over unimplemented pacts. But federal government have come out and say, hey, look, hey guys, I have actually done this. We've done this. Yeah, I love what the wife of the president to always say, my husband have done. And then I love what GOs, general overseers are coming out to say, hey, look, Mr. President have done enough. And what do you guys expect him to do? Please, what we expect Mr. President or the governor, the senator, the House of Reps members, chairman, councillors, whatever you are, if you know you can't do anything, please just walk away. Yeah, it's that simple. Yeah, just walk away because that is what we expect you to do. Okay, so the Vanguard newspaper still have a very good stories that I really love so much, but then it's so sad. Floods sag homes and paralyzed communities, and then a lot of businesses have actually been shut down. Talking about commerce, and a lot of persons are not being able to move around freely, and that is really not going too well with us, and that is really a sad one there. Okay, so still from the Vanguard newspaper, we have these particular issues that really isn't going all well with me, and this has to do with reports about 79,323 killed and 34,773 adopted in 6 years. Hey, oh my goodness. That is really biting so deep and so sad. In fact, because of this, I'm going to go on a short music break, and when we are back, don't forget that we're going to have a whole lot of things just lined up here for you this beautiful afternoon. Our phone lines are already open. So you will also be part of this conversation, but I'm not going to say it until we come back from this short music break. And this is something that I really love so much from Timaya. Okay, so he said, only God that is going to help us in this pretty country. But then stay tuned and don't touch the dial until we are back. Stay tuned, and I'll be right back before you know it. You say all of you guys don't run live up. Not only him day, but not only God go actually help us. Please, you and I will remain here, and not like we remain like. Like we're going to be here and listening to each other and contributing to each other. Okay, so this beautiful afternoon, don't forget that I said I am not going to do this alone. You're definitely going to be there, and I'm definitely going to be here, keeping each other accompanied. You understand, right? Yeah, getting us informed, educated, and entertained as well. Yeah, we're going to talk, we go on the break, dance, shake a body, and return back again. All right, so time check is 30 minutes past the hour of 2 on 103.5 Unico Radio International. Is the State of the Nation show, of course, where we talk about politics, we talk about leadership, we talk about governance, we talk about everything that has to do with you and I in Nigeria and Nigeria all alone. So joining me this beautiful afternoon is Engineer Daria. You're welcome to the studio this beautiful afternoon.
Yeah, happy new month to our listeners. We look
I thought
forward
I
to
said Happy New
having a
Month.
good
That
time
was too
together.
official. Why are you telling me Happy New Month
Was it on
again?
record?
Oh my goodness.
Who was there when you said it?
That's the problem.
Probably we have to publish the credentials.
You
of
won.
it, so
You
we'll be
won.
able
You won.
to-
You're welcome to the studio.
yeah.
So how are you doing today?
Well,
And
not
how?
bad, not bad.
Okay, so let's quickly talk about the month of June. How was the month of June for you?
Well, the month of June for me being a very pivotal month, being
Okay.
the 6th month of the year,
Okay.
it implies a lot of things.
Okay.
For instance, I had to review some of my 2026 resolutions. I had to restrategize some steps. Then I had to re-strategize.
Resolution. Okay.
And at that point in time, I had to also identify
Okay.
things that may not be feasible for the year of 2026. So I
Okay.
won't actually feel bad. You know, it's just like having your
The-
SWOT analysis for the year, your strength, your weaknesses,
Your weakness and then
opportunities,
opportunities
and
and
threats.
okay.
And it's always very necessary for our listeners also to review their plans, their objectives, their strategies, and they may look into it and see what is achievable and see what is not achievable.
Okay, so I love it when you talk about when you talk about resolution and all of that. Yeah, I become so happy. Like I
But you
keep
know,
asking,
I
keep
but
asking
you know
myself
what has
this
been happening
question.
in the country, like the Fulani issues and the kidnappings. The people who are affected,
don't
it
even
was
jump.
never part of their plan.
Don't even
So,
jump
and
to
that
there.
is giving us some sense of elasticity. That
Yeah.
when you make plans, you have to be able to, you have to be flexible with it, so you'll be able to at least thrive regardless of the situation. And that's what makes Nigerians very highly resilient.
Okay, so I think the best plan I can ever have is just a plan to wake up, see what to eat,
You're
have where
sounding
to
like South
put my head.
Africans right now.
Oh
Are
my
you from
goodness.
South Africa? Are you from Zulu?
In fact, talking about that,
Because that's what those guys see in
see,
Nigerians, and there's so much envy, and that may take us into the issue of the illegal immigration. and the
immigration.
likes,
In
right?
fact,
Yeah.
let's even
We see
talk about that.
Nigerians as-
Let's talk about that quickly
Yes.
because it's already in most of our headlines, and we've talked about that, and that's one of the key conversation that we're going to have for today because a lot of things is really happening, and I am absolutely not happy with that. Now, let's quickly talk about a xenophobic attack in South Africa. Get to talk to us. Let's have your own take in this regard.
Well, recently it was published that Nigeria has repatriated about 271.
Okay.
And since this incident happened, it will be amounting to about 601 Nigerians who had been actually repatriated from South Africa.
Okay.
And there's a popular code that was being publicized
Okay.
by which our people in South Africa receive, which is called amber. And
Okay.
amber color, when it comes to military codification,
Okay.
means it's either you live or be killed. So that has heightened diplomatic tension, and that has in turn given our country a how do I describe it? A very negative diplomatic outlook in the global community.
Okay.
So that goes a long way. But to some extent, both governments cannot claim ignorance of this.
Okay.
And I even read recently that South African government even earmarked about some millions of dollars to ensure, given to the police to ensure that particular hotspots in the country are being properly managed. But
Okay.
we can't hide from the fact that this occurrence is not new to South African government.
Okay.
So, and it is looking like it is a backed protest, is a backed action by the government of South Africa.
And funny
And-
how
and where does-
the
where does
attacks
our-
seem to be that it is between South Africa and other African countries.
You know,
That's
if you
where
have to
it
read the
becomes a huge
manifesto of
problem.
these protesters
Okay.
in from South Africa, immigrants are taking their jobs. There
Okay.
is pressure on the medical facilities, and even the so-called illegal migrants or immigrants into South Africa,
Okay.
they want to get rid of them.
Okay.
But those are how do I describe that? It looks more appealing to sound like that, but behind the scene, they would say Nigerians or Zimbabweans or foreigners are taking their girls. They are doing all sorts of things, but we can't hide from the fact that it is possible. I don't have the data available.
Okay.
The volume of immigration we have in South Africa may be proportional,
Okay.
or may correlate with the crime rate in the country.
Okay.
And I've not got the data,
Okay.
but there is this sentiment or rumor or assumption that bulk of these crimes are being committed by immigrants.
Yeah.
In South Africa.
Okay.
And there's a popular saying also in Africa or in some part of the country that says that if you are in a place, you want to be conscious of your fatherland. You will not want to actually treat it somehow in a negative manner. So with that, we can say some argument may be logical. But the question is that we've seen situations where people people who are legal immigrants in South Africa are malhandled. They were disrespected. They were assaulted. We've seen situations where blacks are treated differently from white.
Yeah.
And even this protest and this action, it seemed to look more to be concentrated in some particular region of South Africa compared to another, like Cape Town.
Okay.
In Cape Town, which is predominantly occupied by whites,
Yeah.
they've not really seen that level of turbulence, that level of crisis that had erupted in some other part of South Africa. So that brings about question that this protest is targeted, this protest is sectarian. And the major immigrants who are affected are Nigerians, Ghanaians, and Zimbabweans in South Africa. So, and we even have people who legitimately do their businesses who are legal immigrants in South Africa, but they are still being wrongfully treated by these protesters.
Okay.
So, so we can't shy away from the fact that it is government backed, because this is a national security issue. And the corporations, the small businesses, the medium businesses that were being run by the so-called immigrants, or let's assume legal immigrants in South Africa, these businesses pay tax. They employ people. They are employers of labor. To some extent, they also improve the country's GDP.
Exactly.
So we can't, and this is why no country can exist alone. And these are the things that have been preached at the level of African Union, where ECOWAS, UN, and the likes. No country can exist in isolation. And that's where the likes of foreign policy, diplomacy, that's why they exist. And that's where countries have air commissions and embassies in other countries. So now the question now says that how is our government in Nigeria? How has it been handled? What is who are even the people who are supposed to handle this? Yes, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Nigerian consular in South Africa, even Nigerian Diaspora Commissioner as NIDCOM, being headed by, I think, Abike Dabiri. So those key stakeholders are there, but they've been working. But is repatriation enough to ensure that someone who had been in South Africa for the past 10, 20 years, who had actually established himself, who had created jobs, who had expanded, how do you tell such a person to just leave the business, to leave the investment, and return to Nigeria overnight? So those are the things that are very, very crucial. And that's a very volatile situation, because you can't imagine investing all your life, acquiring properties and businesses in a particular location, and you are being told within 1 week or 2 weeks or 1 month to leave. So the interest of our citizens must be protected even in other countries. And that is where countries invest. Foreign policy, they are very key. That's why you can't joke with an American outside America. You can't joke with, in fact, British. No, you can't even try it. So foreign policy, our foreign policy should be enhanced. Our diplomatic relationship with other countries should be enhanced. We shouldn't just be treated. I've seen some videos where the way white South Africans were treated was quite different from the way blacks were treated. When they get to the domains or businesses where that's been occupied by whites, even if they are even immigrants, they speak good English. Oh, how are you? Oh, you should even naturalize and be But when they meet Malawians, Nigerians who are vividly, legitimately doing their businesses in South Africa, they treat them as if they are nobody. So this calls for question. And on this program, we are also there to motivate our government. We are there to stimulate them. That this is because we shouldn't wait until I may not have someone who is directly connected to such an occurrence, but that should not shield me from saying the truth. It does not make sense.
It doesn't. So at this point in time, and
they're even talking about compensations. Now, MTN, we read it that MTN had earmarked about 100,000 naira and 50,000 naira airtime to people who are being repatriated, at least for them to settle down with it. But does that make sense?
It's
will
not
that
enough.
be able to? Can that quantify the volume of investment and volume of
and life lost? And life lost. And then I just wish to talk about UN. The role UN play in issues like this. But here we have Chief Femi Fani Kayode, who is actually the ambassador of Nigeria to South Africa. And then don't forget President Mohammed. Talking about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu approved his appointment and redeployment to South Africa following his initial nomination for a diplomatic posting in Germany, and so he is the person. But currently, we've not really seen that effect. We've not really seen that his presence per se in regards to all of this, because don't forget that 30th of June have been on the announcement. That is why when South Africa lost over the game, were actually disqualified from the World Cup, it took it on people say, hey, now you can now return back to your country and then face your and all of that. So I think it's quite important for us to actually listen to Femi Fani Kayode take up these particular issues. And to you out there, do all you can to make use of your social media, positively by calling on government officials to actually step up the game and ensure that there's calmness and all of that. So let's stop instigating and let's stop, looking at people as those that should not actually exist. Okay, so now before we go on a short break, now there's this particular, stories that is currently trending, and that has to do with talking about soldiers, the Nigerian soldiers, soldiers of the Nigerian Army depot in Oshogbo on Monday reportedly attacked several hostels of the University of Osun State. Now, the school authorities alleged that the incidents occurred on Monday night, with the soldiers cutting away mobile phones belonging to students. Now, Clement Adebayo, Vice Chancellor of the university, who confirmed the incident to journalists during a visit to the affected hostels on Tuesday, said the matter had been reported to the Army depot management. Now, said Adebayo. Now, we have reported the management to the depot. So it is sad that the Army depot located close to the campus, which we felt would give us security cover, could eventually release men that would subject our students to this kind of horror experience. Now, he went for that to say that he actually alleged that some female students were stripped by the military officers, said over 20 have already been identified as the victims. We counted the affected students. Now, the soldiers came from Oshogbo Army Depot. Now, they assaulted the students. Now, some female students said they were stripped by the soldiers. Now, they also say that they were touched indecently. Some male students were also assaulted. And this added that 2 students were hospitalized, while 1 was discharged on Tuesday morning. As stated, additionally, over 60 gadgets, including phones, were seized from the students. 5 of the perpetrators were identified and brought to the campus this morning, but they were later returned to the military base. Now, the Army division said they will be dismissed. Now, the Vice Chancellor has taken the matter up with the Army authority, but however, now we are asking a question. Now, there was a certain time here in the University of Calabar where we have a group of military guys, with their van. So they were patrolling around the university, and some were walking. I think one or two of them, 2 of these guys were actually walking, within that, a library access. And so I went, close to him, and I asked, officer, what is happening? Do people look as if you are looking for someone or something? After questioning, in fact, the response this guy gave to me, I felt so sad. I felt so, I felt so disappointed that we could have such human beings, being recruited into 7 Nigerian services. Do you understand? I felt bad. In fact, I tried reaching out to the public, the school public relation officer to find out what is the present, what role are the military doing in the university? Were there issues? Were there things that we needed to know that, well, whereas a lot of things would definitely go, but I was interested to know why the military were inside the school premises and the way they were walking around with stick as if they could just hit anyone and all of that. Now, here we have these particular issues here. So now the big question is this really something that is giving a good image to our Nigerian security forces?
Well, going by the condition of our universities these days,
okay,
you understand that our universities accommodate let me use the word population density. That is the number of people with respect to land area.
Okay.
The population in the university can be highly dense.
Okay.
In a way.
Yeah, exactly.
And that calls for more strict security measures.
Okay.
More strict attention.
Okay.
And also it requires some level of sanity.
Okay.
And that is why sometimes, even in economics, there's this thing called localization of industries.
Okay.
When industries tend to stay around one another in a particular area, when they are like around one another, they share the same security. It enhances their even electricity and infrastructure. It enhances those things.
Okay.
And this argument may logically affect or determine having a security apparatus like military base or Air Force base or any form of security base around the university.
Okay.
And in University of Osun State, that's Junior Osun, this is not the first time such a case is happening. There was a time in Ikwetu Ijesha. There's an Air Force Institute of Safety and Communications, very close to the Ikwetu Ijesha campus of University of Osun State.
Exactly.
This something like this was also recorded. And now we're having this case being recorded in Oshogbo. And we recall that the Nigerian Army Depot in Oshogbo is a recent military school. The only Nigerian Army Depot we've always had, we've always have in Nigeria is the one at Zaria that produces the non-commissioned officers who are trained for some month. After some month, they embark on, they are being enlisted to be on field.
Okay.
But With what happened with the report we got, they said they even carted away about 60 gadgets,
Yes.
about 60 phones, and some ladies were assaulted in the
Yeah.
university and the likes. And looking at the training of these recruits in the military school,
Okay.
to some extent they are taken through extreme situation.
Okay.
When I mean extreme, I wouldn't say they are always starved, but
Okay.
their lifestyle is regimented.
Okay.
They wake up by a particular time, they eat at a particular time, they jog at. In fact, they are even subjected to compulsory do some things just to ensure that they will be able to stand any form of adversity.
But
And
certainly
that's what
not
war front
harassing
brings.
people,
No,
and certainly not stealing.
So having, and definitely there will be
Okay.
some facilities
Yeah,
that
exactly.
may be mutual to them.
Okay.
Like their markets, like roads, transportation. This when a particular organization is close to another, it will always bring together people there will always be a common ground for the military people guys and the civilians in the university to have one or two things to do together. And when there are issues, definitely one may, even in secondary school, there are situations where in secondary schools another secondary school can decide to even wage war against the other. I've heard about those things.
I've witnessed that
But,
even in Calabar.
but this time around, we can't say there are no bad eggs
Okay.
in the military.
Okay.
And that is why the recruitment process should even take more stringent measures.
Measures, okay.
You can't just recruit people into the armed forces of the federation, of the nation,
Okay.
based on just ethnicity or based on the need
Religion or
the need
politics
to quickly
or-
counter
Yeah.
a particular sect or terrorist sect in the
Okay.
country. You have to ensure that people who will be recruited in the armed forces of the federation are people with unquestionable character.
Exactly.
They are people that are of sound mind.
Okay.
And that is even what Peter Obi was even saying during the nomination about where I
Let's-
know we'll
let's-
go there.
let's not go there. In fact,
for
before you go
for
further,
to be a member of the law enforcement agency of the country, you must be of sound mind.
Okay,
You must be the type who is ready to uphold the law
Of
at any
course.
point in time.
Okay.
So they're not just there to defend the country. And if you look at the training of the military guys, also, they will even tell you they are trained to shoot in the head or the heart.
Okay.
They are not even meant for internal defense or internal law enforcement. They are meant for external defense, to defend the nation against any form of external aggression. So having this set of people being close to civilian organization or civilian agency like a university,
Okay.
there should be proper environmental impact assessment
Okay.
that will determine the siting, and there should be clear demarcation.
Okay.
There should be clear demarcation. There shouldn't be a form of infiltration that will be easy between the military school and the university.
Okay.
And so I will advise also that this situation should be properly arrested and properly addressed. Because if nobody is brought to book, it will still repeat itself.
Okay.
So that this will send a signal to any errant, intending military person who wants to, even a civilian can also leverage on this and say nothing will happen, and they will do the same thing. So please, we will hold the government, because we can always hold them. Apart from analyzing the situation, we also have to hold the stakeholders to take proper action so that such a thing will not repeat itself. Because how do you expect me to be in the school, reading, doing unnecessary things, and just to help myself and help the nation and help my family, and I can't be doing that with the mindset of fear that something may happen to me within some minutes or some seconds. So I have to be prepared. I have to do everything I'm doing as a student with all rest of mind, with all possible modesty and serenity.
Okay.
That's what so those guys who did that should be brought to book.
Exactly. Those guys, who have gone off their duties, off their duty post, off their assignment. And somebody's saying, what if, if you were to be, why wouldn't they go into Sambisa and go and do the needful?
Easy.
Easy.
But we should still give it up to them because
Okay,
they're trying. But at the same time, they should know how to flex their muscles.
Exactly.
Yes, well, we civilians are not trained to withstand such level of rigor,
Okay.
such a level of resistance.
Exactly.
If it were to be easy, if it were to be some country where gun is licensed,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
some countries where where any citizen can actually bear the firearm
Okay.
and have it with you. If students are licensed to bear gun, do you think such a thing will happen? They will also approach them as if knowing that one or two of them may have a firearm.
Okay.
So that should be properly taken care of. please.
Okay, so that should be properly taken care of. If you have a brother, an uncle, a sister who is actually involved in these, you just have to call them and say, look, enough is enough. In fact, let the constitution of the country take its course. Right away here, let's quickly go on a short music break. And when we are back, like I said, our phone lines I will definitely roll out the phone lines. Yeah, I've been talking about this for a very long time. Okay, so stay tuned and don't move away, okay? I'll be right back before you know it. I'll be doing something from T Maya, and he said, PT for all. Stay tuned and don't touch the dial. Also, I say make we pity for also. Oh my goodness, this is pity for us from T Maya. Okay, so if you're just joining us, time check is 36 minutes past the hour of Chill on the State of the Nation show. My name is Obase. Man, so quickly, let me how they can also be able to be part of conversation. The phone numbers to call is 0809 44440580 0809 444405. You can actually be part of this conversation. So we've talked about a lot of things that that is bothering Nigeria, and yeah, we talked about this particular incident that happened in Shogbo State, where some military officers, invaded, allegedly invaded a particular university, and then did a lot of things, committed a lot of crime, and so the vice chancellor of that particular institution have come out to say, look, he's going to follow up to make sure that those particular persons, are actually, are called to book. All right, so we don't just want them to be called to book; they should be called to face the wrath of the law. Okay, so this beautiful afternoon. Yeah, we've done a lot of justice to that. If you believe me now let's quickly look at one of these stories. Oh my goodness, I really love what happened over the weekend. Now, NDC as a political party was actually denied access, and many other political parties, let me use that word. Okay, so, but here we have a lot of persons, talking about NDC per se. Don't forget that over the weekend, they actually turned attention to transparency in the electoral process after another questions on the INEC, asked whether for form whether candidates had ever submitted forged certificate. Now, there's this particular column in the in the INEC forms that a lot of questions have actually been asked, and this particular one is either a yes or a no. Now, the presidential candidate of the NDC has come out to say, look, we have to INEC should have to publish. Get it right. Now, in his own words, the presidential candidate of the NDC, talking about the Nigerian Democratic Congress NDC, Peter Obi, has challenged Nigerians political leaders to reflect on their priorities, urging that the country's worsening insecurity, hunger, and economic distress demand urgent attention rather than the growing focus on political contest and power, calculations. Now, Obi raised one concern after completing his nomination inquiry form at the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in Abuja, revealing that some of the questions. Now, he went for that to say, now, some of the questions contained in the document prompted him to reflect on the quality of leadership currently being offered to Nigerians. Now, the former Anambra State governor said, a question asking whether a candidate had ever been adjudged a lunatic or declared of unsound mind led him to consider whether the nation's leaders were demonstrating the sound judgment expected of those entrusted with public responsibilities. At a time when citizens are being kidnapped, communities are under threat, families are struggling to feed themselves, and public resources continue to come under scrutiny, Obi said it was difficult to justify whether political maneuvering appears to have overshadowed efforts to tackle country's most pressing challenges. Now, according to him, a leadership genuinely acting in the political national interest would have convened an emergency gathering of political leaders, regardless of party affiliations, to confront the security and economic crisis facing the country. But what is the most, taking part in this particular, memo was that he also turned attention to transparency in, electoral process after another questions on the INEC form asked whether candidates have ever submitted forged certificates. Now, he called on INEC to publish the academic qualifications and credentials submitted by all candidates seeking elective office, urging that such openness will strengthen public confidence in elections and ensure that those aspiring to lead are held to the highest standards of accountability. Now, so Nigerians are saying, look, what's the big deal? So let me ask you this, Engineer Dare. Will it be a big deal for INEC to actually publish the respective qualifications, credentials of our political office holders?
Well, it's not a big deal.
Okay, it shouldn't be a big deal
because publication comes after verification.
Okay,
And verification comes after submission. So the candidates or the so-called aspirants are meant to submit some documents
okay,
which must correlate with the content of what they have in their forms. being provided by INEC
Okay.
after nomination by their party. And when these submissions are made, INEC is practically expected to verify these documents
Okay.
to ensure the issue, to prevent the issue of forgery or not. And to ameliorate this problem of forgery, that is even why INEC is there to make some clarifications and verifications.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, INEC is meant to be able to adjudge if this person had actually complied or if the party nomination had complied with the Electoral Act.
Okay.
Yes. So the question now comes, is INEC obliged?
Okay.
Can INEC be compelled to publish the result of screening after nomination?
Okay.
Yes. Who can comply? Who can compel INEC to do that? We cannot. The competent court of law can do that. A candidate can seek a particular injunction mandating INEC to do that. Because if it is not explicitly stated in the Electoral Act that INEC must do that,
Okay.
then INEC also has the power to regulate their procedures,
Exactly.
depending on the circumstance. If that could trigger national security, if that could actually threaten national security, they can actually get briefings from the intelligence community and see. But the question is that
don't you think it will actually save us because it is already threatening the national security, not knowing the qualifications of our political officers?
yes, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
We just read the news of someone here, a former minister, an ex-minister who had been arrested today. What do you know what it means to? And what does it even require? What does it even require to contest?
Since you have led the cat.
I want us to finish that particular part.
Since you have let the cat out of the bag. Yeah, we have that story here.
Because it doesn't make sense.
The former Minister of Science and Technology, Uche Naji, has been arrested by security operatives at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. Sources say that Mr. Naji was arrested on Wednesday upon his arrival from Enugu on a charter flight and will be handed over to the Inspector Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, for questioning. Now, the arrest followed a Federal High Court order issued in June directing the ICPC to arrest and investigate the former minister over allegations of certificate forgery. Now, we have this blowing off.
But remember, this guy is a nominee. He was a nominee of the president.
Okay.
He was a minister.
Yeah.
He didn't aspire to occupy an elective position.
Okay.
But the focus here is INEC should be transparent enough to tell us the qualification of our leaders.
Okay.
So we can look at the case of Bayelsa State that produced Governor Doyediri.
Okay.
It was a deputy governor elect then of David Leon, who had one or two issues with the documents he submitted.
Okay.
And that, when you contest, when you become a candidate, it's a joint ticket.
Of course.
You can't have a sole governorship candidate. And what happens to the deputy also happens to the governor. Yeah. To some extent, because if something happens to the governor, the deputy governor steps in.
Exactly.
And that happened in Bayelsa State, and that gave Governor Doyediri the opportunity to become the governor. And is there any even point in our law that gives INEC some salient responsibilities? Because one of the things that the NDC candidate also brought up was soundness of mind. Now, looking at the situation of the country now, can we say the people in power or people in government can be adjudged to be of sound mind with all the occurrences in the country? Looking at insecurity, looking at inflation, looking at standard of living, even looking at employment rate. Can we say that the people in power are of sound mind? And what does soundness of mind says? It's just about you being able to do what is necessary at a point in time. Talk when you are meant to talk, think when you are meant to think, stand when you are meant to stand, sit when you are meant to sit, and anything that has to do with national interest, it has to be taken with a very strong level of patriotism. So the question is, can we say the people in power are of sound mind? Well, before they were merged, INEC and a competent medical, because even the court of law cannot establish soundness. Okay. It is a competent medical practitioner, a medical organization that can actually validate if someone is of sound mind or not. And it's even enshrined in our constitution. Okay. Section 137, subsection 1C, alphabet C, talks about how the president has to be of sound mind, and people, the executive at the federal level. In fact, section 66, subsection 1 also says the same thing for the members of the parliament and national assembly, that their soundness of mind, because someone must be of sound mind, someone must be medically fit to be able to represent people, to be able to make laws, to be able to perform oversight functions. And that is the only way you can get dividend of democracy. But if someone, it's just like when people are saying that your head is not correct. So if someone's
Don't-
head that
don't
is not
forget
correct is representing you, is your own head correct?
Yeah, so
If
don't
you have to go
forget-
and vote for someone that
Yeah.
is not okay, are you okay?
Don't forget that some times ago, we had in Nigeria where the federal government came out with these rules that, those in public, students in public schools, who actually undergo drug test and all of that. And we say, so why not this start from the presidency? Let's finish with the politician, the National Assembly, the senators, the governors, appointees. And when we succeed there, we can now say this can actually go, because we looked at how much it's going to cost the federal government to actually carry out drug tests on our Nigerian students from all the institutions, and we are asking how far,
You know,
because
the logic
billions
is that
have
it
been
was the
budgeted
Minister
for
of
this.
Education who took that position. It wasn't the president. So such a policy
Yeah,
is,
the minister is part of the presidency.
Such a policy is
Okay.
sectoral. It's
Okay.
sectoral in the sense that the Minister of Education cannot overlap and go into another ministry.
Okay.
Except if it now becomes part of the electoral act that anybody who has to contest or who is a member of the executive or judiciary or legislature
Okay.
will have to compulsorily undergo drug tests. From
Okay.
there, that's when we'll be able to compel leaders to do that.
Yeah,
So that
now,
should be part of the electoral. But it's
do
the
you
Minister
think,
of
do you think
in-
that is
Education
one
that
of the
says so.
reasons, one of the key reasons why people embark in forgery? Because we also have the likes of Kemi Adoshin, some times ago, talking about the NYSC forgery and all of that. So there are millions and other persons who have done this, and here we are having a whole minister
Out of millions of graduates, out
So-
of millions of people who are so qualified. Well, sometimes
Yeah.
some schools have argued that academic excellence may not produce good leaders
Okay.
or effective leaders.
Yeah.
But I've not conducted any research there, so I
Okay.
don't have an empirical fact to
Okay.
substantiate that.
Okay.
But the logic is that if a particular document is required to stay in a particular position,
Okay.
I believe that is the reason behind what's it called, background checks.
Okay.
Do you know if someone is nominated for a position, the intelligence community, like especially the Department of State Services, they
Yeah.
visit schools, primary school, secondary school, your tertiary institution, even where you serve. They go through all those places to conduct background checks on you, even your family, even your neighborhood. They
Okay.
go around to ask questions about you just to ensure that you are fit, you are qualified to occupy a position.
Okay.
And these are done before a Senate confirmation.
Okay.
But with the political undertone behind a lot of things these days, we've seen situations where the National Assembly had to hasten confirmation of nominees. But there is need for effectiveness. There's need for quality. And that is why anybody who had been nominated, imagine a Minister of Science and Technology
Okay.
who does not have something to show. But we are not judging him yet because the court, we have to still give it to the court of law to give us the final verdict. But the truth is that before you occupy a position,
Okay.
even you must be able to ask salient questions. Am I qualified to do that? In some
Exactly.
developed countries, even after being qualified to occupy those positions, they even resign after some infractions.
Yeah.
We've seen situations that president resign, prime ministers resign, and in fact,
In
I
Nigeria,
remember
nobody
Theresa May-
resigned. They will gather all the
Yes.
sons to defend. And I
Yes.
keep asking, the role of senior advocates of Nigeria. Don't forget, Nigerians have called them, turned that name to something else and all of
But
that.
they are still senior advocates of
but-
Nigeria.
what?
They are still. When I would like under the Lego.
Okay, so don't forget.
The privileges, something. I've forgotten the policy.
Okay,
They
so
are still senior advocates of Nigeria.
yeah,
So
the
please,
phone
let's leave them
numbers.
alone.
Don't forget the phone numbers is 08094444058. Okay, so we have this message coming in here. Okay, so this is coming from. I think I should actually get the name. Okay, so well, I would not love to take that particular one there. Just do all you can to be civic in your conversation and all of that. All right, so let's quickly turn to this particular issues, talking about certificate forgery and all of that. And this is Nigeria. I was saying, look, INEC, should do Nigerians more favor to publish, the certification. Don't forget, to be a president, all you just need is just a primary school certificate, right?
School living.
First school living certificate, and that is it. But just
But is
tell
that enough?
us,
Is that enough in a country like Nigeria?
like the country of Nigeria. So
That's
I think
enough.
this is why a lot of our constitution, some of the things in our constitution should be actually done away. Because remember, there was this 2014 national confab, that was billions of nairas were actually spent during the days of Goodluck Jonathan. But up till today, we've not actually heard as to how,
report of the confab.
in regards to the confab report and all of that. Now, a lot of Nigerians have said if that particular record or information or documents were actually implemented, it would have done Nigeria more good than the current harms and situations in Nigeria. So far, so good. But there again, we are asking, what exactly, should INEC do? Should INEC go ahead to publish?
I will agree. I will subscribe to that.
Okay, so if there there are
strongly subscribe
petitions,
to
you know,
that.
if there are petitions, you know, for INEC to deliberately petition or actually publish.
You know, INEC will want to be careful.
Okay.
INEC will want to be careful
But-
to
but
work
why
within
do
the
you think-
ambience of the law. INEC will want to operate within the ambience of the law.
But this has been happening.
But you know, this also calls their independence to question. But we are not
Okay.
here to question their independence. But we are just here to educate the general public, in fact, about the good work that INEC had been doing and
Okay.
how better we want them to also improve. So we are not always here to criticize or to say, no, what they are doing is not good. They should
Okay.
have done it. But we are here to also help them improve and also enlighten the general public about what has been done so far, and also to get feedback, because we know they are listening to us.
Okay.
And our regulators are also listening to us. And this is also a take back to our regulators to be able to tell the necessary people that yes, this and this have to be done. But
Okay.
the law, but let us remember something, regardless of political undertone,
Okay.
regardless of political inclination, regardless of our emotions,
Okay.
law has to be followed.
Okay.
Law has to be followed. And
Okay,
that's
so
what we are saying.
law have to be followed. That's pretty much you'll be doing today. On today's segment, of course, the first segment of the State of the Nation show in the month of July in the year 2026, and it's such a beautiful time, well spent here with you guys out there. So right away here, before we go, let's quickly have your last word, Engineer Darian.
Yes, to some extent. Well, it had been an experience to some extent.
Okay.
And some countries, some people describe Nigeria as a country of cruise. While you are trying to think of something, another thing comes up. But
Okay.
one thing I will pick from the candidate of NDC, his
Yeah.
opinion is that it is very key to be of sound mind,
Okay.
regardless of where you are. You can't once you are a leader in a particular place, the stake you hold is not only for yourself. In fact, it determines the future of people. Imagine a lecturer, imagine an academic, imagine the head of a particular organization not to be of sound mind. It will threaten the progress of that organization and also truncate the development of the people under him. So
Okay.
soundness of mind is not something that should be politically viewed or that
Okay.
should be politically addressed. It is something that is necessary for anybody who should occupy a position of influence, a position of governance.
Okay.
So it is across board and it is in the law. Thank you.
Okay, so that's pretty much you'll be doing.